A Tennessee woman who backed President Donald Trump is now crediting the Republican health care bill for her family's dramatically lower insurance costs. Now, this is interesting. This is Charla McComic, and her story is she was talking to the Washington Post, and she said, hey, look, my son, he recently just lost his job, okay? Well, his job came with health insurance. Well, now he's not working. He can't afford his health insurance, so what happened? Well, his premium, since he lost his job, went from $567 a month to down to $88 a month. Well, that's amazing. That is a wonderful amount of savings right there. And that should allow him to keep his health insurance and allow him to get back on his feet. Great. Now, she described this, appropriately so, as a blessing from God, and not so appropriately as a gift from the new president, President Trump. And look, I mean, sure, the guy sucks. It sucks that he lost his job, but wow, look at that, right? He saved so much. He was able to afford his health insurance, and he's still covered. Thank goodness. Now, the Washington Post reports that the 52-year-old former first-grade teacher thinks this change is due to the new president's health care law and due to the tax credits offered through that law. But there is a little bit of an issue here, a little bit of a slight problem. Trumpcare isn't law. It actually hasn't even been passed through Congress, meaning the law of the land right now when it comes to health insurance is currently Obamacare, meaning that her son's insurance, the gift from God, is because of provisions written into Obamacare. Oops. Oh no. So let me point to the provision that actually applies to this family. Apparently, workers who lose their jobs and employer-based health coverage may enroll in coverage plans under the ACA based on income or, of course, in places that have been expanded, Medicaid. Now, that, of course, people with little to no income. People like McComic's son. All thanks, of course, to the Medicaid expansion made possible through Obamacare. Now, McComic, who attended a Trump rally in Nashville with four of her family members, told the Post that she wasn't worried that her 33-year-old son or 3-year-old granddaughter will lose that Medicaid coverage under the new GOP plan. So far, everything's been positive. From what I can tell, I just hope that more and more people and children get covered under this new healthcare plan. Well, look, I want more people to get covered. She wants more people to get covered. She's not a bad person. Okay, so, but unfortunately, Charla, that's not going to happen. In fact, Trumpcare, which again is not in effect, will end up removing 24 million people off their health insurance. They will also end up cutting Medicaid and will make insurance more expensive to people who are poor and older. Now, her son, who right now gets Medicaid, will likely end up being kicked off as the states will now be on the hook for the costs and will, of course, since they can't afford those costs, since look, the way that the Medicaid program works right now is that 100% is paid by the government. The government is giving all this money to the state for Medicaid to expand it to people who are poor. Now, that's a good program, and it actually is going to scale back to, or was supposed to scale back to about 90%, and then stay there in perpetuity. Well, that system under Trumpcare, that's going to change. It's now going to be block granted to the states if the Republicans get their way. And of course, we know the issues with block grants. It's essentially unaccountable money. They can do whatever they want with it. And of course, that amount of money never changes. So there's the issue with that. So basically, once that goes into effect, if that goes into effect, Medicaid will be cut back as costs for healthcare continue to rise as they're wont to do. So people like McComic's son, they're going to lose out. They're going to lose their Medicare or Medicaid. Now, these tax credits, by the way, that she thinks are helping her family right now, well, they're actually less generous than the subsidies from the ACA and actually won't help families like McComic's. Sad. Now, and before you guys bash her, remember, this is a good example of the power of propaganda. Trump and the Republicans they're there to pick her pocket. That's the whole point of the party at this point. They're a front group for corporations. Now, this is why, of course, facts and education are so goddamn important to me. Because this story illustrates the power of propaganda, the power that they have when you are not educated to the facts. And now these people end up getting lied to over and over and over again by their own politicians and the media. And of course, that creates a lot of distrust. Donald Trump capitalized on distrust by saying, hey man, don't listen to those guys. I'm not a standard politician. Those guys are crooked. I'm the only guy that's looking out for you. And they say, oh my God, this is what we've been asking for. This is what we've been looking for. And they believe him. They don't know who to trust because they feel like everybody's been lying to them, and it's kind of true. Corporate media doesn't always tell the whole truth. Right-wing media certainly doesn't tell any of the truth, and neither do a lot of the standard politicians. In fact, Bernie Sanders is one of the very few people who actually is honest with everyone else. But Charla and people like her essentially have lost all trust in the establishment. And doing so, obviously, they've lost faith in the very institutions that also tend to have the facts. Without that trust, it's very easy for someone like Trump to come in and take advantage of them, along with the Republican Party to come in and sell their snake oil to people who are low information voters. So I feel bad for her. I feel bad for her son, not because they've just been duped, but also because of the very real pain that is coming if they repeal the ACA and replace it with this monstrosity of a bill. These are the people that are going to suffer the most under Trump and the Republicans, and I don't want that to happen. I don't want people to suffer. I don't care. I don't care who you voted for. I want you to have health care. I want everyone to have health care. That's why they call it universal health care. Everyone has it. I want you all to have it. Now, here's the thing, right? There are a lot of good people out there that are super misinformed. Now, especially about this bill. You know what would be a great thing? If the Democrats could take this as an opportunity to actually come in and say, hey, you know what? We actually have a plan that will cover you and your son and your granddaughter and everybody. It's called single payer. We're on board for single payer for all. Medicare for all. Let's open it up. And also to go and say, hey, by the way, what your family is benefiting from right now, we implemented that. It wasn't our original plan, but we implemented that. That's our doing. That's Obama's doing. It's not Trump. And we have a plan that actually make it better for you. Instead, what are they doing? What's the DNC out there doing? Well, they're not talking about these issues. No, at a recent DNC meeting, they essentially were talking about how to talk about and exploit identity politics. You think Charlotte cares about identity politics at all? Come on. No. I mean, yes, they have a place. Identity politics do. And meaning that you should look out for African Americans, that you should look out for Latinos. Obviously. But look, passing good economic policy and healthcare policy, like single payer and a living wage, you know what that does? That actually greatly benefits minorities as well, without the need for using identity politics. Because there's not just a white working class workers. No, there's just working class workers. It's not a euphemism for white people, okay? Because you know what? Black people who are working class are also working class. They're working class. Latino people who are working class are working class. They're all members of the working class, and we shouldn't be separating them out by race. The working class is a working class, and what we need to do is we need to defend and strengthen the working class. But again, you know, they're not talking about these issues. They're talking about, identity politics again, and that's not going to get them it's not going to get them anywhere. And you might be asking, why aren't they doing this? Why aren't they actually talking about these economic issues that are going to help people who are part of the working class? People like Charlotte. Well, it's pretty clear. Because they're paid not to. See, but of course, if I go down that route, I'm going to go off on a different tangent here. The point is, the Republican Party has mastered propaganda to the point of, interestingly enough, where they are given credit for anything positive a Democrat does. And President Obama cut the deficit, slowed down the debt. After George W. Bush blew it up, he spent half of his term, or half of his 8 years, I should say, at least, trying to clean up after George W. Bush. And yet, here are the Republicans taking credit. He gets Obamacare passed, which, again, has its flaws, it has its issues. I'm single payer all the way. But it gets that passed and at least helps people get health care. And what is it? What's happening? Donald Trump is getting the credit for it. Amazing. Amazing. Basically, if you're a Republican, you can blow up the economy. You can do whatever the fuck you want. And when a Democrat goes to clean it up, well, they're going to get all the fallout. You're going to get all the credit if you're a Republican. Amazing. And again, this illustrates perfectly the power of propaganda. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.